Jeffrey Epstein has taken his own life.
Jeffrey Epstein has taken his own life while he was behind bars here in New York City.
Jeffrey Epstein is dead. The files he left behind, safes, hard drives, a birthday book, flight logs, and reams of evidence.
I was unaware that I was going to be alone with him. I thought I was going to die.
For years, those files have been the raw material for reporters, investigators, and conspiracy theorists. Tonight, we'll walk through what's verifiable, what remains sealed, and why some people believe what's inside could topple a presidency. This is not rumor mongering. It's document by document. Victims, and whether powerful people escaped accountability. Epstein's crimes involved underage girls and allegations of trafficking.
It's so hard to begin to heal knowing that there are people out there who know more about my abuse than I do.
The U.S. government's handling of his cases, particularly the 2008 non-prosecution deal, has already attracted intense criticism and official review.
You'll remember Alex Acosta. Who was that? He was the labor secretary under Donald Trump in the first term. Prior to that, though, he's the infamous he's the prosecutor, the federal prosecutor, U.S. attorney, who gave the sweetheart non-prosecution agreement to Epstein back in 2007. Alex Acosta basically takes over the case and strikes a non-prosecution agreement with Epstein where he agrees to plead guilty to some very, very low-level charges. Obviously, there's been a lot of questions. Why did Alex Acosta even do this? When he knew he would have violated the victim's rights, and that, quote, he belonged to intelligence. That deal was corrupt and it was ridiculous.
At its center, thousands of evidentiary items seized from Epstein's properties, and the question of who appears in them and why some names remain sealed. That's the spine we'll follow. Did Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein know each other? Yes. In the 1990s and early 2000s, they moved in overlapping social circles in Palm Beach, New York, and Florida. There are photos and video of the two together, and Trump appears in earlier contact lists tied to Epstein. Trump himself has publicly said Epstein was someone he knew, and later that they fell out.
He took people, and because he took people, I say, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took... beyond that, he took some others, and once he did that, that was the end of him.
Were some of them young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken, and it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad, but that story's been pretty well out there, and the answer is yes, they were.
Importantly, public records show association, not criminal conduct by Trump proven in court. Who testifies about what they saw? The most high-profile victim witness is Virginia Giuffre, formerly Virginia Roberts.
London, this is wherever Epstein was touching down. He needed to have girls on constant call. A lot of scars hidden behind those walls. It should be ripped down. It should be burned to the ground. Some of my worst memories are from this place.
Giuffre's litigation and sworn statements were central to the Maxwell trial and to early civil filings related to Epstein.
She said, oh, you're reading a book on massage therapy. And, you know, we started talking. She goes, oh, you know what? I know this guy. There's an opportunity, actually. If you want to become a real massage therapist, we can get you trained. You can come for the interview tonight. And if he likes you, then you'll be a real masseuse. And you'll get to see the world, and you'll get paid $200 per massage. And no alarm bells went off because it was this proper English lady who just looked so nice.
In the unsealed court documents, there are a range of claims, some explicit, some later retracted or disputed, and Giuffre's public statements at times denied seeing Trump commit wrongdoing, while other filings contain graphic allegations about unnamed VIPs that were later called into question or dismissed in court. This patchwork is one reason the public record is messy. When the FBI executed searches of Epstein's Manhattan mansion after his 2019 arrest, agents testified they used a saw to open a locked safe. Inside, jewelry, diamonds, hard drives, CDs, and image discs. At Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, an FBI witness detailed the safe and the media storage found across the properties. Those physical items and copies are part of federal evidence inventories. The official DOJ evidence inventory lists photo albums, digital discs, blueprints of Epstein's private island, and items marked as nude and semi-nude images among seized materials. Those descriptions are cataloged in redacted DOJ exhibits made public during litigation and in evidence lists released by investigators. One of the more eyebrow-raising documents that's been circulated is Epstein's birthday book, a compilation of cards, notes, and messages sent to Epstein for a milestone birthday. Recent media reporting and document releases show the book includes short notes and signatures from many public figures. While a handwritten note or signature can show acquaintance, it does not itself prove criminal behavior. But it's the sort of item that fuels questions about the reach of Epstein's social network. Here's why the public is still frustrated.
I voted for you. Don't do that. Party affiliation should never matter. The whole purpose of me of pointing out that I was a Republican is because I knew exactly what this would bring. I knew exactly the digs and, they must be Democrat, they must be on this side. This is not a political war. I would love to sit down so he can look me in my face and tell me that I'm a hoax.
Brad or Brittany, can you give us a sense of how many young women you can say for sure are survivors of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would say we know the names, identities of over 300 safely, and that's probably half.
Many of the most sensitive files, grand jury transcripts, victim IDs, and unredacted evidence lists remain sealed to protect victims' privacy and ongoing legal processes. That legal protection is important, but it also prevents the public from verifying who exactly is mentioned in full context. So you get leaks, selective releases, and a vacuum that speculation fills. From 2023 to 2025, courts ordered the release of many previously sealed documents tied to civil litigation, dozens, then hundreds of pages. That trove included emails, flight logs, and images, some heavily redacted, but also examples of earlier sensationalized claims that were either unproven or eventually considered unreliable. Major outlets pointed out multiple instances where lurid allegations in earlier filings were swept up with legitimate victim testimony, creating confusion about what was backed by evidence. One of the most explosive and persistent side stories is that Epstein was connected to foreign intelligence services, especially Israeli intelligence, Mossad. Those claims have been floated by commentators and some filings, in part because of Epstein's connections to people like Robert Maxwell and former Israeli officials who visited Epstein, but high-quality reporting and official statements push back hard on the Mossad theory. Former Israeli leaders and mainstream outlets have publicly rejected the claim that Epstein was an Israeli asset. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, was a British media tycoon whose life inspired claims about murky intelligence ties. Journalists and historians have for years reported allegations that Robert Maxwell had ties to Israeli intelligence, fueled by his pro-Israel activism and later posthumous allegations. Those historical disputes and Ghislaine's own social connections are why some people trace an intelligence-themed narrative through Epstein to Maxwell, but it remains a chain of inference rather than a proven unbroken link. Across the pond, Prince Andrew's friendship with Epstein produced major consequences. Public interviews, including a televised 2019 Newsnight sit-down and later legal action, led to a settlement in the US and serious reputational damage in Britain. Royal ties are the clearest example of how Epstein's network reached elite circles beyond the US. In 2025, the Justice Department and FBI released a public memo summarizing their multi-year review of Epstein-related holdings. The memo said investigators found no client list and no credible evidence to open investigations of uncharged third parties based on the holdings they reviewed. To many skeptics, the memo was underwhelming, short, unsigned, and released after years of requests. So could this end Donald Trump? That's the popular, dramatic question. Legally, as of now, there is no verified public evidence tying Trump to Epstein's trafficking scheme in a way that would produce criminal charges directly from the unsealed files. Politically, revelations, if they were to show deeper, provable misconduct or a pattern of concealment involving named officials, could have huge consequences. The difference is critical. Political damage can be caused by perception, leaks, and PR losses. Criminal exposure requires admissible, corroborated evidence. Epstein's files are messy, painful, and politically explosive. They have already exposed failures in prosecutorial discretion, in prison oversight, and in institutional transparency. If you care about justice, for victims and for the rule of law, push for accountable, victim-sensitive disclosure, not rumor, and demand the kind of public scrutiny that courts and journalists can defend. Check the description for the primary sources we used. Subscribe for more deep dives.